Today I'm here with Yuri Elkaim, aka the Healthpreneur. He's a New York Times best-selling author and owner of a multiple seven-figure online health and fitness business that has helped over 500,000 men and women to better health. His personal blog gets over 20,000 unique visits per day, and his YouTube videos have been viewed by more than 22 million people. And for the past 5 years, behind the scenes, Yuri shared his coveted business secrets by leading numerous high-level masterminds for many of the health industry's most influential experts. Now, he's pulling back the curtain to show other health and fitness experts how to turn their passion and expertise into a thriving online business.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show. All right, what's up, everybody? It's Mike Arce here, and I'm here with Yuri Elkaim from Healthpreneur. Yuri, welcome to the GSD Show.
How's it going, Mike? Good to be here.
Going great. All right, so for everybody that's watching that hasn't heard about Healthpreneur yet, tell everybody a little bit about what it is.
Yeah, so with Healthpreneur, I basically got to the point in my own health business several years ago where I realized a lot of people in our space have an amazing gift and message, but they're not really sure how to get it out there. Okay. Naturopathic doctors, trainers, they have these amazing abilities to help people, but they're not necessarily savvy from a business perspective to impact as many people as they want. So I started Healthpreneur to work specifically with visionary health and fitness entrepreneurs who want to multiply their impact, income, and freedom through their online business so that collectively we can help more people. And so that's really what Healthpreneur is all about. And I work very closely with individuals in our space to help them, really reach those goals. And it's a lot of fun.
So what made you get into the fitness industry? Like, what's your background?
Yeah, so it started off, I've been in this space for 20 years. I like to think I've actually been in this space for my whole life almost, because when I was basically as young as I can remember, I played soccer from the time I was like 2.5, 3 years old. And I realized at an early age that I was really good. And maybe it was kind of like this inflated ego I had. I don't know. But I realized, I'm like, you know what, what if I played professional? Like, could that actually happen? And I live in Canada, so Canada's got an atrocious soccer program. But at the time I figured, if I could, train at the highest level possible, maybe I can get over to Europe and play. So I spent all of my teenage years playing and training at the highest level. And I was just like, that was sole focus. That's all I wanted to do. And so I was very fit and active as a teenager. And I was like, wow, this is like, I didn't know any other way to live. I'm like, how can you just not live like this? Right. So I was very fit and active. I was able to play professionally for a number of years in my 20s. And during that time, I also suffered with a lot of health issues. So I tell people you can be fit but not healthy, because I was a living example of that. So I was very fit, but I had very low energy, sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night. I had eczema, asthma, digestive issues. And those were all signs and symptoms that my body was kind of like saying, hey, you should kind of pay attention to this stuff. And I didn't know what really any of that meant. So I just kind of ignored it. And to give you some context, I was eating pretty poorly growing up. So just a lot of packaged foods, all that standard American stuff. And my body, when I was just about 17, said, okay, we're going to send you a stronger signal. And in the space of 6 weeks, I lost all of my hair to an autoimmune condition. So just to give you some context, I actually had more hair than you do in terms of, my dad's Moroccan. So I had like bushy eyebrows, the whole bit. And in the space of 6 weeks, I lost all of my hair.
So what are you saying? You're saying I have bushy eyebrows? Is that what you're saying? I do. I'm self-aware.
Bushier eyebrows, which is just to give you, a bit of context as to, the difference, before and after. So that was really kind of like a kick in the ass to be like, okay, like let's wake up and smell the coffee here and figure out what I can do to figure this out. Because I wasn't really getting any solutions from the traditional medical stream, which is not surprising. So it took me about 8 years to finally go back to school. So I went into school to study kinesiology, got my degree at the University of Toronto, played pro soccer. During that whole period of time, I was also training clients while I was in school. When I retired from playing soccer in my mid-20s, I came back to Toronto and I went into school for holistic nutrition. And that's when a lot of the big aha moments really appeared for me. And I was like, wow, I really have no idea about this stuff. So that was a real big catalyst into like doing what I'm doing now. But that the kind of the combination of my own health journey as well as my passion for soccer and fitness at a young age, really propelled me into this business. And I remember, I've probably trained thousands of in-person clients, and worked as a strength and conditioning coach at the University of Toronto for 7 years. So I really enjoyed that, but I also got to a point where I was tired of doing the one-on-one, and that's why I started my online business, to really impact more people and get more leverage.
Now, you've worked with hundreds, or if not thousands, of entrepreneurs and business owners in the fitness space, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've even written a guide that's pretty popular now. What's the name of this thing? It's like a 9-page or 20-page. What is it?
Yeah, it's not the length that matters. I guess it's what's inside that counts. But it's called The Definitive Guide to Building a Successful Online Health or Fitness Business. And the reason I put it together is basically because I've noticed that I've been online for 11 years. We've helped 500,000 people. We've done really well. I've written 3 published books. One's a New York Times bestseller, blah, blah, blah. And I say that because I've made far more mistakes than I have had successes. And what I've realized is on this journey, and this actually applies to any kind of offline business studio as well, is that I've noticed that there are 9 milestones that really have to be checked off or really hit on your way from starting off to wherever it is you want to go. And that's what I talk about in this guide. Okay, so for everybody listening and everybody watching, Yuri's actually going to hook us up with this guide, right? And so we're going to talk about that a little later. Yep. Awesome. What's up, everybody? If you want me to send you Yuri's definitive guide to building a successful online fitness business for free, then go to thegsdshow.com/E044. Again, that's thegsdshow.com/E044. Thanks, and back to the episode. So now that you've worked with so many entrepreneurs and business owners in the fitness space, studio owners, online coaches, all that, how many fitness businesses fail to grow? Or actually, let's not even say how. Why do you think so many of them are failing to grow? Yeah, so interestingly enough, there's some recent, I was reading a recent study, and I can't remember the exact source, so I apologize for that, but they're saying that the first 2 years, the failure rate of small business is 33%, which is actually far less than what it used 95% and that we've heard in the past. But what was interesting was that they showed why that happens, and they showed that the why was really a lack of know-how, a lack of experience. And that's kind of just small business in general. And what I've recognized working with a lot of entrepreneurs is that the biggest reason that anyone fails, and when I say anyone, I'm talking about a business that has an offer, right? Come to our studio, come get training, buy this book, buy this product. The reason most times they don't work well is because there is a very poor attention to messaging and marketing. And specifically what that means is the offer itself is just not clear, it's ambiguous, it's not compelling enough, and the prospective customer is thinking, well, I don't know what this means, B, it doesn't really mean anything to me, or C, I don't really care about it. And so that's one challenge that a lot of health and fitness professionals deal with because they're so amazing at what they do in helping people that they forget the most important part, arguably, which is how do I communicate and articulate this in a way that a grade 2 student would understand. And that's a dilemma, especially if you've got a lot of degrees and a lot of background knowledge. It's kind of this curse of knowledge where we have to really dumb things down and think about what does this mean to our prospective customer? Does this actually make sense to them? And how do we craft an offer that is very compelling and something that they want? Could you give me an example of, let's say, a company that's doing, you don't have to say the name of the company, but give me an example of like a make-believe company. What's an example of a bad offer or a bad brand that you see as a common example that a lot of people may relate to? And then also, what's an example of a good brand? And here you can name drop one if you'd like, because obviously that's fine for something good. Yeah. But yeah. So I'll use the example of, I'm not a huge fan of Silicon Valley VC-backed companies because I think they're not as applicable to bootstrap companies, whatever. But there is a lot of value to be learned from what they do, and I'll share an example with you in a second. But if we look at some not so good offers. I can give you just like a blanket example of a lot of businesses that I've worked with. It's something along the lines of this. Hey, my name is Trainer XYZ, and I have a cool 6-week weight loss program, and I'd love you to join us.
Okay.
And it's like, well, all right, cool. And now what? Like, who cares, right? The thing is, there are so many weight loss offers. And the dilemma is that when you're in a competitive space, what ends up happening is that your product or service, your thing is so watered down because people have seen this or something similar 1,000 times. You really have to figure out, well, what makes this unique? What makes this different? And how do I articulate that in a way that gets people to think about or say, wow, okay, I get that. I can see the benefit of actually doing this. So it's very, very common for trainers, bootcamp owners, gym owners to just say like, hey, listen, we've got this thing. Come in and kind of try us out. Or if it's an online product or an online service, it's a very similar type of watered down general offer. And when people land on the page, they're like, I don't care. I've seen this. There's 100 other trainers doing the same thing. Okay. So that's the typical example. I think some good examples from Silicon Valley would be a lot of these app companies like Uber, or if you think about Dropbox, if you think about, I think Uber is something to the effect of like, I can't remember exactly what their value proposition is, but it's basically like it's like you drive on your terms, like basically have your own job on your own terms, right? It's like a clear statement that in 1 second, in like a snapshot, looking at the screen, the homepage, you know exactly what it is and how it benefits you. And so if you want really good examples of this, and I wish I had a couple just off the top of my head, there's another company called Plastic, that's with a Q at the end, and their whole value proposition is never, so if you're paying, actually, you know what, if it helps, let me just pull this up on my computer so I can make a bit more sense of what I'm talking about, and I'll just actually give the value proposition right to you. So they say never write a check again. So it's pay your home repairs, your bills, your employees, even if they don't have a credit card or even if they don't have a payment processor, right? So it's like in one snapshot, you're like, wow, this is unique. It's different. I've never seen this before. And that's a compelling offer, assuming that it's something that you want. Mm-hmm. So that's where a lot of business owners need to spend more of their time, is really on crafting this offer. How do we take what I do in like several paragraphs and distill it down in the least number of words that people can grasp instantly?
You know, and for everybody listening and watching, it's important not just so that that person can grasp it, but it's important that they grasp it well enough to be able to re-deliver that message to their friends and family, even if it's weeks later.
Absolutely.
Great example, Orange Theory Fitness. You know, to me, they really have their messaging down. You know, what is Orange Theory Fitness? You know, well, it's a combination of, HIIT training and cardio, weights and cardio. And really there's like stats on different TVs, and you can see how many calories you burned and how much fat you're burning. And the great thing is you can tell when you're burning fat at the most efficient level because your little tile on the TV will turn orange, right? And that's the Orange Theory. Oh, cool. I get that. So now people can easily explain that. I'm burning fat at the most efficient level when I'm in the orange. Yep. Peloton's really great too. The Peloton bikes, yep. You can live stream into classes that are happening in New York City with a bike that you get at your home, and you see the TV right there on your bike. Or you can get on-demand classes and you can race against different people around the world, or really rank on the leaderboard, or even just race yourself. So these are really easy for not only the person to grasp, but also grasp so well enough that they can re-deliver that message to their friends and family. And that's when you're really developing a great message. It's level one is understanding it, the person you're talking to. Level two is being able to give the person that information away where they can re-deliver it. So if you can get to that second level, you're solid. Would you agree?
Oh, totally. And I'll give you an example from our business. So we have a 2-day workshop called the Content Mastery Workshop. And when people ask me, like, what is this all about? I can give them a long spiel, or I can just say, listen, this workshop teaches you how to create great content that stands out and makes your business money. Right? That's it. That's the crux. That's the essence of what we do in those 2 days.
Awesome. So now, what's the single most important element in one's marketing?
The single most important element is really the messaging, right? And so messaging is kind of, I don't know if people really understand what messaging, maybe it's ambiguous, but it's kind of what we've been talking about here. It's really thinking about, and again, I'm going to turn to a lot of these kind of Silicon Valley VC-backed companies because they do a really good job at distilling down a lot of the excess stuff that doesn't need to be on a web page in terms of words and gets it down to the essence so that here's what this is. Like, as you said, like you can communicate the story or what the company does, not only to yourself, but you can tell a friend, oh, I just came across this company. Here's why this is so cool and why you should kind of check it out. And I'll give you another example. There's an app called Blinkist, which I learned about probably about a year ago. And at the time I was getting tired of reading books because I've got 3 kids. I don't have as much time to lay around and read anymore. And so Blinkist, basically my version of what I would tell somebody is, listen, like, you know how it's like pretty time consuming to read books, especially if you got kids, you don't have a lot of time anymore. Well, Blinkist will give you like the Coles notes in 10 minutes of a 300-page book. And so that's a really simple way of, and I don't know if that's their value proposition or their messaging, but I think I'm kind of getting the point across as I'm sharing what they do to other people, because they can instantly get that. They're instantly like, yes, I see the value in that. I understand why this would be beneficial. And so messaging is so important. But again, we tend to think about, okay, here's what I've got. Here's this cool thing that I've got. I'm just going to throw it up on the website. I'm going to throw it up in a flyer or something, and people will understand. The vast majority of times, people do not understand. And again, what I've noticed in the health and fitness space specifically is this curse of knowledge, where I see this a lot with doctor speak. Right? I remember seeing a flyer from a friend of mine who's a sport chiropractor in Toronto, an amazingly smart guy. And he had this flyer for an upcoming event they were doing at his training facility. And I couldn't even understand what he was saying on the flyer, like on this postcard. And I'm like, dude, I have a background in this stuff. This is way over people's heads. So it's not that you have to dumb yourself down in terms of like, you're not kind of disrespecting your own knowledge and your own journey, but you really have to meet people where they're at and understand that, most people don't know what an ACL is, right? It's like really bring it down to people's, just again, kindergarten level, so that I think a great example is if you have kids, can you explain it to your kids in a way that they understand?
Right.
And use that as an acid test to really refine your messaging, refine the essence of what it is you do, so that when people get it, they're like, oh, okay, I see why this is different, why this is unique, and why this matters to me. And I think this is extremely important for fitness professionals to dial in, because as I said, you drive down the street, maybe you pass a couple gyms. Well, what's the difference from one gym to the next? I don't know if you guys have Planet Fitness in the States.
Yeah.
But they have a great commercial that I'm sure ran in the US, which was pretty popular here about a year ago. And it was like this big muscle head, right? It's just like grunting and doing all this stuff, and like almost like with a Schwarzenegger voice. And he had this big like gallon jug of water, the typical kind of meathead type of thing. And Planet Fitness says it was, it's had, a good 20, 30 seconds of him working out. And then it came on with a little kind of slide on the screen that said, this is not who we are.
That's cool.
And it's just like, you get it right away, right? And it's just like, I think they showed like an average woman going to the gym to work out afterwards. Right. And it was like this juxtaposition. So now it's like, oh, am I a Planet Fitness type of person, or am I a Venice Beach type of person? So really, with your training facility, with your gym, with the way you approach fitness, your business, what is another way to think about it is, if you think about people's minds as a chest of drawers, what is the drawer, the compartment that you want to occupy in their mind? Okay. So when they think about, working out in a way that they enjoy or whatever it might be, they think of you, right? And it's like, it's instantaneous. They made that connection, and they're not going to do that unless you lead them to that distinction. And the only way we can do that is through our messaging. So messaging can be through words and or visuals, and ideally both. And so again, it's not something that happens overnight. I did not crack this code for a long time, and there's still a lot of stuff in our business that we're refining from back in the day to improve the messaging, to improve the positioning, to really make it stand out in a very crowded marketplace. You go to the bookstore, there's thousands of diets. What's the difference between this one and the next one, right? It's all about the messaging.
Now, Sarah, behind the scenes was talking to me about this freedom formula that you got. So talk to me about freedom formula. What is that?
So the freedom formula is, I'll just kind of give it to you. It's 5W plus O plus P plus F. Now that means nothing to
zero things to me right now. Yes,
but I'll break it down for you guys. So what I've noticed is that if you have an offer, or if you're thinking about creating an offer from start to finish, these are the elements that should be in place in order for it to be successful. And the 5W are who, what, where, and why. So I'll break those down. So the who is, first of all, who is your avatar? Who's the target market for the specific offer? Is it, single moms of 2 boys? Like, you don't have to go that narrow, but at least get a very good sense of your ideal avatar. Second is, what is their major pain point, or what is their biggest desire? Right? What's something that you can solve for them or give to them that they actually want? And really know what that is. So if you have to, be in touch with your audience or survey them or get on the phone, figure that out. And I think there's an unfair advantage for most health and fitness professionals because we're already doing the face-to-face with most of them. So we get to see and speak with them. And it's just a matter of documenting a lot of the stuff that they're talking about. So that's the second W. The third W is where. So where are they hanging out? Can you target them on Facebook, on specific pages? Are they hanging out or reading specific magazines? You want to know where they're at so you can get in front of them with your message. The fourth W is what, which is a second what, and that is what, now that you know who they are, what they want, where they're at, what can you offer for them, what can you offer them for free that is going to get them in the door to experience your awesomeness? So that might be a free trial, a free report, something, right? Just something that's going to be relevant to your business and how you can best serve them. And then the fifth W is why. And the why is really important because a lot of times we talk about, okay, here's who we serve and here's how we do our stuff, but a lot of times why, the real kind of emotional undertone of your business can be very powerful. So sharing your why. So for me, my why is to end suffering. I suffered with my own health for a long period of time, and I went into this field to help others end their suffering. And on the business side, again, it's still ending suffering because I've worked with a lot of business owners who are suffering in their business because they don't know what to do. And so that's kind of like the underlying why theme of what I do, just in general. So if you can communicate that in a way that really emotionally attracts people to what you're doing, that's how you start to really build a beautiful tribe around your business. So that's the first component. That's the 5 W's. You have to start with those because if you don't, everything else really doesn't make sense. Creating offers for who? Men and women, over 65, under 40, like just really be specific. So next we move into the O, which is the offer itself. Is this a 14-day, free trial? Is this whatever the offer is that you're offering? You want it to be very compelling in a way that people would be crazy to say no. And for the most part, if you're talking with a cold audience, so people who don't know you, it's going to have to be something very compelling with no risk. So it might be like, hey, try out our 21-day fat blasting program for $97. Normally it's $500. Well, we're going to get you in for free, or for $97. It's a 3-week boot camp. You'll get to experience all these benefits, and then at that point you can move them into something higher once they've experienced your awesomeness. Online it's something to the effect of, here's something that you really want. I'm going to give it to you for free, as an example.
Like a 1-week nutritional plan or something like that, or workout from home plan.
Exactly. And you want to think about keeping it really easy to consume, not overwhelming. You want to give people a sense, like what I believe as leaders, what we really provide people is clarity and confidence. So if you can give people a clear answer to their problem, that's going to really instill confidence in them that they can do it, but also that you are the trusted expert that they should be following.
Okay.
So that's the offer in and of itself. And then there's obviously different components of the offer, like the back end offers and stuff. But at each stage, think about, how do I make this as compelling as possible for people to say yes to?
This kind of stuff is there more to that formula?
There is. So
okay, go ahead.
You can jump in here if you want.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we did the 5W, we did the O, right? Now we're going to do the P. The P is positioning. So that kind of comes back to messaging that we talked about. How do you position you in a way that is different and unique from everyone else and everything else that's out there? So this is where you really have to kind of do a bit of thinking, put on your thinking hat, and look at, a simple way to think about this is this. So in one of the greatest copywriters of all time, his name is Eugene Schwartz. He said decades ago that when we're in a marketplace that is very competitive, what needs to happen is you need to introduce a mechanism that allows your thing to stand out. So a mechanism is essentially your secret sauce, right? Your unique method. Think about P90X, right? What is P90X's mechanism? Muscle confusion, right?
Right.
It's basically, they've given it a word that everyone knows about, which is just don't train the same way all the time to avoid plateaus. They've just called it muscle confusion, and that is their mechanism that allows people to avoid hitting plateaus and getting exponential results. So with what you do, there's a specific method. There is a way that you train clients, a way that you deal with clients, that if you just gave it a name, right, like the GSD method, right, or the, whatever it might be, and then you quickly explain what that is and how it benefits people, nobody else on this planet has that.
Okay.
They might have something similar, or they might help people achieve similar outcomes, but the way they do it is not the same as yours. So for instance, one of our workout programs, we have a mechanism, a unique method called the fast-slow method. And this is a way of training using tempo that is very unique to allow people to train less and get better fat loss results and strength results in a shorter amount of time. So if I just came out and said, well, we get these results by just lifting slower and faster, well, there's not as much sexiness to that. But if you give it a unique name, a mechanism that you have developed yourself, now it's got some intrigue and a little more novelty to that. So that is just kind of something to think about from a positioning standpoint. And then finally, we have the F, which is the funnel, right? There's obviously all sorts of ways we can get people into our business, our offers. What does the funnel look like? Is it a Facebook ad to a blog post? Or is it a Facebook ad to a opt-in page? Or is it a Facebook ad to a phone call? Or is it a billboard there's all sorts of different funnels. So you want to think about how do we capture people that may not know us in a way that we can add value to them so that they're excited to at least kind of step in the door and then take them down that path. So that's just kind of a quick overview of the Freedom Formula. And I call it the Freedom Formula because once you have this dialed in, this becomes a predictable funnel that allows you to have more freedom in your business.
Okay.
If you can predictably bring in more leads and customers into your business, that's pretty cool.
It is.
And so that's what this allows you to do. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some refinement and testing, but that's kind of the framework of it.
Is this Freedom Formula, is this in that definitive guide that you have? Or is there stuff like that in there?
Yeah, totally. It's not laid out exactly like this, but the elements of it are definitely captured in the guide. Yeah,
okay.
totally.
So you've worked with tons of people now. Can you give me an example of somebody you worked with that was, struggling, not just with their messaging, but just business in general and in the fitness industry, and you were able to take them to an entirely different place, one they probably hoped they'd be at, or maybe even better than they hoped?
Yeah, so one of our mastermind clients, I'll save her name for the sake of privacy, but basically she came to me and said, listen, I have this group coaching program that I'm doing online where I launched it every 2 months. It was a 6-week program, and she wanted to hit X number of people. And I said, why do you want to reach so many people? And she's like, well, basically I want to make a certain amount of money. And I said, well, how much work is it for you to deal with 500 people at a specific price point? And she's like, well, it's quite a bit of work. So I just gave her an idea, and I said, listen, well, what if you just charged more and dealt with fewer people? And what I started to realize was that she was undercharging based on kind of her own kind of issues with money and kind of her self-worth. And I challenged her. I'm like, listen, why don't you just double the price and see what happens? Obviously, you want to offer more value, so position that in a way where it seems more valuable, and it is more valuable to the end user. And she was like, okay, cool. So she did a really simple, low-hanging fruit type of opportunity. She changed her price to make it a little bit more expensive, improved her messaging a little bit so it was more clear and more compelling. And she sent me an email. She's like, I can't believe that I didn't do this sooner. And it was overnight. She had not the same number of people, but she had she surpassed her desired income for that specific boot camp based on fewer people, which gave her more freedom, more free time in the process. And it was just a much more compelling offer. And that's why she was able to reach that. And so those are some of the things that I'm able to do. And that's why it's great to have like somebody like an outside perspective, like, that's why athletes have coaches, right? To look around corners and give them insights that they can't see themselves. And that's why it's pretty cool to be doing what I do. And just, I love helping people in our space, because I think each and every one of us has an amazing message that can transform people's lives. And if I can play a small part in helping, owners and entrepreneurs in this space, become a little bit savvier, then that's what I'm happy to do.
Awesome, man. Well, Yuri, thank you so much. You dropped a bunch of awesome information here for us, and very kind of you to offer that guide. I know you worked really, really hard on it. So for our audience, thank you, Yuri, so much. I appreciate it, and looking forward to actually having you on the GSD show in person
Sure.
in a few months when you're actually visiting us in Arizona. Because right now, where are you at?
I'm in Toronto, so very different weather than Scottsdale.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.